Carrie Makes Up. I hope you're doing really well. I'm very excited because today I'm starting the first in a new series that is called A Makeup Artist Reviews. If you're new to this channel, welcome, hello. I hope you stick around and enjoy. If you like this video, please give it a huge thumbs up and I'd love it if you guys subscribe. So give you a bit of backstory, I'm a makeup artist working in Los Angeles. I work the red carpet, Oscars, Golden Globes. I work with celebrities, I work in editorial, and I felt it would be nice for you guys to have a perspective of the professional makeup artist when it comes to new product launches, especially when I know there's going to be a lot of hype around them. So today I'm going to be looking at Selena Gomez's new brand, which is called Rare Beauty. I believe it's currently exclusive to Sephora and on her own Rare Beauty website as well. I have quite a few of the products, not all of them, but majority of the products to try on today and show you, give me my opinion, if they're good, what's great about them, what could be improved, and also who I think these products are for. So I'm going to be showing you the products close up as well so you can see them properly, what they look like on skin, really close up, as well as I'm wearing them now obviously. The entire brand is cruelty free and 100% vegan, so we love that. That's going to tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people and that's great. Loving seeing more brands starting to do that. Definitely makes it more accessible and definitely more inclusive. In terms of her shade range, I would say the shades are pretty good. Her foundation, definitely can't complain there. 48 shades of foundation and I believe 25 shades of concealer. So it's nice to see her starting with a wide shade range, but obviously as well, given the nature of who she is and investment, etc., you kind of would expect there to be budget for that amount of shades. So to give you a bit of understanding as well, when brands create ranges as well, to have that many range of foundation shades, it's a big investment and it's a lot of money to be able to do that, which is why, generally speaking, not always, but you do see that's a harder thing for more indie brands to achieve. So especially when it's a big brand, a big well-known brand, I think there's more expectation for them to make sure they're catering to everyone's skin tone, and it's nice to see that she's making that a priority. So some of these products have been sent to me and some I brought as well. I went to Sephora recently and picked up a few products. Obviously you can't try anything on at the minute because of COVID-19. So I just picked up what I thought would be fun to try and show you guys. So first product we have is the Weightless Touch Foundation. So they describe this as being breathable, medium to full coverage. After playing with it, and full disclosure, I've had kind of a few days before making this video to play with them because I really wanted to have some good strong feedback to give you guys, as well as you guys seeing it in the flesh being applied. And it definitely does feel lightweight. I love that about it. It doesn't feel heavy, doesn't feel pore clogging or cakey in any way. It definitely feels lightweight. If I had to describe something that to me as a makeup artist it feels comparable to, I would say it sits somewhere between a Pat McGrath Sublime foundation and Armani Maestro. It almost has that very thin serum texture, and it does describe itself as kind of a serum foundation. So very lightweight, very breathable. I still feel like I couldn't figure out the finish of this. So what I mean by that is when I first tried this a few days ago, I tried it on my Instagram, in my stories, and I tried it with just regular moisturizer, just how I would wear it normally. And it definitely had that more kind of Armani Maestro feel that was more of like a satin finish. It definitely felt very smoothing. But I found I needed more moisture for me, and it's funny watching other people's reviews, I found them say it's very dewy on them. So I think it's going to sit somewhere, the kind of foundation, which is actually something I prefer in my kit, where you can manipulate the finish. So if you do have oily skin, definitely don't use the Rare Beauty. I've seen their setting spray has a lot of dewiness in. I would avoid that if you have very oily skin. I think this is going to be people who are looking more for kind of a medium coverage. I definitely think it's more light to medium coverage. To get very full coverage, I actually tried kind of covering up a little burst blood vessel and it kind of still showed through, so that's fine. I would rather do more work with my concealer anyway. Price point of this is $29. Like I said, it comes in 48 shades. Really love that. I love that their undertones, there's a really nice mix of cool, warm and neutral. Really important as well to have a mix of those undertones. If you're looking for tips on finding your undertone, if you clench your fist like this and then look at your veins, generally speaking, if you have blue veins, you'll tend to have a cooler undertone. If you have green, you'll have a warmer undertone. And if you find that you have both, or both are visible, you're probably a neutral. And I always advise people to start with a neutral, and then you can kind of start experimenting from there, whether you need more warmth or you need a cooler undertone. So like I said, I applied the shade 210 Neutral, I think it was. Yeah, 210 Neutral on me. You definitely want to give it a shake when you're using this foundation. There's a ball bearing inside and it definitely is a very, very watery liquid texture. So be careful of that when don't spill it on your clothes as you're opening it. You can apply with the doe foot, and I actually wanted to show you guys applying this with both a brush. So when I was applying it with a brush, I found it worked really beautifully. I had tried it a few days previously with a more soft bristle brush, like a real hair brush, and I found it kind of got stuck in the bristles a bit too much. So on this attempt, I was using it with a synthetic brush, and I found that much, much better. That performed much better to apply the foundation with. Then I also wanted to use the Beauty Blender on the other side so you could see how that applied. Really, really like that. I found both techniques worked really, really well with this foundation. I would just say if you are going to use a brush, I would definitely go for something more synthetic. A synthetic bristle, I think, blends this formula better. So then we moved on to the concealer. This is the Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. It has 24 shades, sorry, not 25. Still a nice amount of shades. I really like that that is definitely a broader spectrum of shades. This I feel like is more on the hydrating side, the concealer. So it definitely felt moisturizing under the eyes. Still quite pigmented. They describe it as being quite a full coverage concealer. I feel like on me, I would say it was more, I've got concealers that are fuller coverage, I would say. So I really, really like this. For me, I loved it under the eyes. It was nice around the nose. Again, tried covering that little blood vessel with it. I could definitely mute out the redness and get a little bit of that removed, but it didn't completely eradicate it. And for me, when I'm trying to cover a spot or an abrasion, I actually prefer a more waxy kind of set cream concealer as opposed to a liquid anyway. So I think if you have dry skin under the eye, this will be a really nice one. Definitely kind of normal to dry skin, I think are gonna prefer that concealer finish. Then we come to the eyeliner pen. Now this is called the Perfect Strokes Matte Liquid Liner. Really, really pretty. It does feel like a piece of stationery, like a calligraphy pen, and the nib, etc. really does look like a calligraphy pen. It's got that kind of thick to thin point, which I think is a pretty good option when you're kind of new to using liner. It feels quite weighted to hold, so it's very easy. It's a very beautiful looking product. I found it applied really, really well. It did sit down completely matte. Obviously I've got it on now. Love the finish of this. The only thing I will say is after I'd done one eye, I found putting the lid back on for like 10 seconds then made the formula much smoother on the other eye. And that can be quite common with eyeliner pens. This one as well, the other reason I really like this is that it's a brush tip, not a felt tip. I find on me, when I use a felt tip, it starts removing product, or it always dries out at the tip, and you need the tip of the eyeliner to be able to get that kind of perfected, really thin tail and a nice neat edge. So for me, I like the applicator. I loved the juice inside, was really good. And after going in, like I said, I kind of left it, did my liner, even went back in again, and it didn't remove any kind of tidying up or neatening. You just might have to put the lid on in between applications, but like I said, 10-15 seconds and it was good to go again. So if I'm honest, the product I was most excited about in this range when I saw it launch was the fact they had liquid blush. Now liquid blush is such a huge part of my pro kit. I use it all the time for red carpet, TV, appearances. It's such a unique formula because you can layer it beautifully under foundation, on top. You can set it with powder if you want something really long lasting. And also if you want to see things like freckles through skin, it's a really nice formula for that reason. So she has matte options and dewy options, which again, I love that she's kind of thinking about everyone's skin tone. I think that's really exciting to see. So I was only able to get 2 of the matte shades. I've ordered one of the dewy shades. So I'll let you know on my Instagram. Follow me there at Harry Makes It Up when that arrives. But I do like the idea of the matte ones because I feel like I will always make my skin a little bit glowier underneath anyway, adding something like a very emollient moisturizer with a touch of face oil where I need it, because I am actually very dry and dehydrated, and that on me is just what makes all my bases look better. So the liquid blushes I have are the shades Bliss and Love. I'm going to start with Bliss. Again, packaging's cute. Not that fussed about the circles on top, but still it's very cute. Another doe foot, and the doe foot has this kind of lip edge to it, so it's kind of like a slanted edge. The shade Bliss I think is beautiful. This is a very good kind of what I call a a sort of backseat blush. It doesn't really steal the show. So if you're wearing a red lip or you're wearing a bright lip, it's a good option because it just kind of mutes the skin, gives you a little bit of shape, a little bit of color, but it's not overpowering. So this is the matte blush, and it is matte. It really does dry down matte, which I think especially if you are going to go with like a dewier base and then you kind of want something to take, like I said, the back seat a little bit, this would be a really good option. So I tried using this with a beauty blender and a brush just so you guys could compare and see the difference. A little goes a really long way with this, guys. Like seriously, a little goes a very long way. Start with less would be my biggest tip because it is one of the most pigmented liquid blushes I've ever used. Yeah, you heard that right. One of the most pigmented. For me, I like that because I feel like this product's going to last you longer because you're not going to have to use as much. Because it's matte especially, I would say you have to work with it quite quickly. That was one thing I did notice. So popping it on my cheek in a few dots, buffing out with the brush as long as I went in straight away, worked really well. Same with the beauty blender. I didn't find as well using the brush or the beauty blender was lifting any of my foundation. Obviously I hadn't powdered at that point. But I did really, really like the finish of this, and I'm excited to see the dewy one as well to be able to compare. The other shade I did buy was Love, which is kind of like a burnt terracotta-y shade, which again for me, I love it when I have a tan, and then I like to mimic like a little bit of kind of just beyond sun-kissed, like nearly like, you know, when you kind of nose catches the sun and there's like a little bit of sunburn, but it still looks really chic. That was the feel I was going for with this shade. I think this would look beautiful on deeper skin tones as well, and across the board I felt like there were shades to complement every skin tone, and I've watched other people's YouTube videos who have a much deeper complexion trying out the blushes and seeing they look really, really beautiful on them too. So really, really impressed with that. So the shade Love, I wanted to show you like literally a dot of it because it is so pigmented. So you can see me applying that. Really, really pretty, beautiful color. I think for me, I would use that with kind of like a bronzer underneath, like a liquid bronzer, and that would look beautiful. So then we come to the highlighter. So this is Mesmerize. This is the liquid luminizer. I think this came in 6 or 7 shades. So again, liking that there is a really nice variety. It's not just one highlighter for everyone. It's nice as well that I feel like what Rare Beauty has done is really focused on their kind of base elements, and then it's just a lip and a liner, and more things will kind of come, I guess, as the range expands, which is nice to see. So I have the shade Mesmerize, which apparently is Selena's shade. It's definitely very like a pinky, pewtery shade. There is a warmth in it when it goes on the skin. Applied really lovely. I used this earlier on in the week and I definitely found I put too much on. And I think if you put too much on, it does start to kind of sit a bit too much on the skin rather than work into the warmth. So as with the liquid blush, I would definitely say start with less, just use a little bit. Also has the doe foot applicator, so you can be quite precise. A lot of product will come out on the doe foot, so honestly start with less. Really, really pretty. It's definitely a finely milled texture. If I had to compare it to something else, it definitely reminds me of the Glossier Play, their liquid highlighters that they came out with in the little glass jars. Obviously you get quite a lot of product in here as well, so that's really nice. And yeah, I did really like it. I just would be interested to try some of the more golden shades or the white pearly shade, because I think that would be more suited to the aesthetic that I like. So in addition to the cheek products, the second thing I was really excited about was her lip products, and I picked up one of the Dewy lip balms in the shade Praise. In fact, it was the last one in Sephora, so in my head I was like, it's got to be good, right? It's the last one. And I'm glad I picked it up. It's so, so beautiful. I really like the packaging of this actually. It's quite kind of like Art Deco-y. This is like a lovely peachy coral, and I think what I love most about her line is that it's very kind of finger friendly. You can kind of pat a bit on, looks really nice, but if you want to kind of take things up to a much more saturated pigment payoff, you can do that too. This is so moisturizing. It said it's a lip balm, but I definitely feel this is more like a high shine lipstick. It's very, very creamy, very comfortable on the lips, super hydrating, and you can get this to quite an intense level of pigment, which is why I feel like it is a balm, but it's definitely more pigment than a general lip balm. So I love the Dewy lip balm. The other product that I kind of had a feeling I was probably gonna love when I heard it described was her liquid lipsticks. So there are quite a few shades. I'll pop on the screen how many there are. I picked up several. I've got some swatches as well. But the 2 shades I was really excited about in particular was Brave. And I saw this and I just thought, is that gonna be like Sunny's Face Peachy Kinder, which is like my holy grail ride or die everyday shade. I love it. It just picks my face up so nicely, really brightening, and I get so many questions about it. And I love Sunny's face, but I know they're very hard to get hold of. And this is very, very similar. I've actually got a swatch where you can see the Sunny's Face lip dip and this next to each other. It is incredibly comparable in terms of the formula, the way it feels. It's very pillowy. It's got that kind of cushiony softness, almost like a silicone feeling, but in a way that's very, very weightless and airy, and it is very hydrating. I love these. I think for me, these are like one of the standout pieces of the collection. So the shade Brave, you can see me tapping it on. Beautiful, it's just like a muted stain. I love that you can apply these with fingers and just get a wash of color. If you like to create a very kind of editorial blurred edge look, you can do that very, very easily with these. But then I wanted to go on to the other shade that I was really excited about, which is Inspire, and this is Selena's signature shade. It's the one I'm wearing right now, and you'll see me again, first of all, applying this in a very kind of soft, muted way with my finger, blurred soft edge. You can definitely get a very sheer wash of color, and then you can really, really layer and build up to kind of the opacity that I have now. The doe foot on it, I actually love. The doe foot is such a good shape. You wouldn't think it when you see it, but the doe foot, it has this kind of like square, flat edge that really hugs the lip. And actually, I was able to get my lips this shape without any lip pencil at all. So it might take a little bit of practice if you're new to working with a liquid lipstick, but because this doesn't set, it doesn't have that kind of automatic dry down where once it sets, you can't go in and buff the edges. This is very forgiving, and I think it's a really nice formula to work with, especially if you're new to liquid lipstick. But this isn't liquid lipstick as what I think we conventionally know that product has. It's definitely more comfortable, looks lovely on the lips, it doesn't kind of sit in lines, it doesn't bleed, but it also doesn't just suck all the moisture out and feel totally, totally dry. So Inspire, I layered quite a few coats on, and in between I would kind of blot with a tissue just to make sure there wasn't too much excess. And I would say what I'm wearing now is kind of probably like 3 sort of like applications. So the first with my finger, second patting it on and kind of smushing my lips together, and then going around the third time with the applicator to get a really neat lip line. But yeah, it feels beautiful. I've had it on for like an hour of filming now. It still feels like when I put my lips together, it doesn't feel like the lips are dry or caking. It's such a good formula. And the other brand that does that really well is Dear Dahlia. They have like a lip mousse. I think it's called a lip paradise mousse or something that's really similar. And it's just it's one of those formulas now, whenever I find it another brand, I will literally buy every single color because I know I'll wear them. So when it comes to price point, I think it's very fairly priced. It definitely sits somewhere in the middle tier. I would say this isn't kind of Tom Ford, like top shelf luxury, but it's also not drugstore. I feel like the products do perform like professional products, especially the lips. The cheeks I will definitely be adding into my pro kit. I think they're phenomenal. The foundation, I want to try on a few other different skin types because, like I said, I feel like the formula definitely sits that you can kind of manipulate what you put underneath it to change up the look of how it sits on the skin. When I look up close at the foundation, it looks really pretty, it looks really fresh. I don't feel like I'm wearing lots of makeup, and the other thing that's nice is it doesn't feel sticky. You know, sometimes when you have a dewy foundation, you kind of touch your skin and it feels very sticky and kind of almost like a bit wet. There's none of that with this. I do feel hydrated, but also remember I did put quite emollient skincare underneath because that's what my skin needs. So I would definitely experiment. If you have very, very dry skin, I definitely think you want a good level of hydration under this. If you have oily skin, I would recommend a mattifying primer just anywhere where you need it, just to kind of balance out the skin. And I think for me, lips and cheeks are kind of the products that I would say if you're going to get anything, the lips and the cheeks are phenomenal. Really enjoyed everything. There was nothing that I tried where I thought, oh god, that's awful. The highlighter, I think you definitely have to go less is more. So start with less, and then, you know, once it's kind of in, you don't want to keep applying because it will start to remove what's underneath. In terms of what I think could be improved, obviously currently there's no mascara, but I'm sure that's on its way at some point, and there was no eyeshadow, so I'm interested to see what she brings there. I like the fact that this is makeup that is, it does feel that it is for everyone. So even if the packaging to you feels very young, don't let that put you off. I think the juice inside is really, really good. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So I hope that review was helpful to you. If you have tried any of her makeup, please let me know in the comments down below what you liked, what you purchased, and your thoughts on this collection if you'll be picking anything up. If you are a makeup artist as well, I love helping makeup artists grow their careers, and if you need any help, support, motivation with that, I have a free training down below which you can actually take, which gives you an idea of how to be a makeup artist in the digital age. Lots of tips on social media, how to pivot your business when work is non-existent. So if that sounds good, I'll leave that in the description box. And all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching. Let me know what brands you want to see next, and I'll make sure I add that to the list. So whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a lovely chilled weekend, and I'll see you soon for more videos.